about versus other forms of considering the effects on carbon. And I think it should, in the end, be all of the above consideration. And given there's already a huge bill on the other topic, it's fine to just have one saying, let's focus on sequestration, because there's plenty of talk about the other one. But I really personally feel that, especially in a national system or a global system, some sort of market-based system, Oregon should end up a massive winner because of all the stuff we do already, either through law or our own ethic, to sink carbon, and our geography, that we've got the forests we do. And there should be people from all over the world paying us for essentially following our land use laws and growing trees, because these landowners can't do anything other than grow trees under our land use system anyway. And we're sinking carbon for the whole world here, a lot of it. And I would like an income stream for our growers for the sort of ecosystem benefits that they provide, because forestry is a great way to make a living. It's a great business. It also is great for the environment. It's our heritage, and I believe there is a way at some point to have its rightful place as and a great carbon sink actually benefited without hurting the industry. That's going to take time to develop. So I appreciate you bringing this forward, so it's not just a one view that, hey, we hate carbon, but well, what about ag and forestry? What do they do to help with this issue? We go back to Brock Smith, then I'll come around.
Thank you. I appreciate your comments, and I agree with you, and that's really the concept that we're discussing in this piece of legislation. And, DEQ, we discussed recently in my office that they don't have this data. And it's so when we're talking about that other big piece of legislation, this really is not part of that conversation. And so that's kind of why it's the one-off, because we need this data in order to have the overall holistic view on the carbon sink, the sequestration, the emissions, the effects. And so I appreciate the comments and moving this forward so that we all know what exactly the impact is across our state.
Vice Chair McLain.
Well, I'm voting yes on this because I see it, and we've talked about it, that this is another tool, and I think that's what you just said. This is another tool for another important part of what we're facing here in Oregon, and you can't have lived in Oregon in the last 5 or 6 years and not understand that this is also something that's very important. And as you pointed out the other day, we've spent half of this committee's interim time talking about, the forest fires, and so we want to try and get to the point where we're actually managing them and spending the money on management so we can have some of these other benefits that we all care about. So I think whether this is a perfect bill, I don't think any bill is perfect, and I think it's important for us to continue to make sure that we're researching on all fronts and that we're using all tools and that we're remembering what the goal is. And that's for our children and our grandchildren and everybody else after that, to have some clean air, some fresh water, and to be able to enjoy the kind of place that we've lived in all of our lives.
Representative Salinas.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to Representative Brock Smith for bringing this forward. So first of all, just a quick question and clarification for removing DEQ from in the friendly amendment. What was the rationale behind that?
Again, U.S. Forest Service is conducting these studies in California, and the suggestion for the friendly amendment came from the ODF and director so that they can move forward with the USFS study. It also lessens the fiscal. I'm not saying that DEQ is not going to be consulted by any means, but having 3 agencies work with the USFS rather than the direct agency with forestry is why.
Thank you.